Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are we doing?
We're doing good. We're starting our Season 2 discussions because we're on Season 2 of Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes.
We just watched the episode called The Child.
Captain's log, stardate 42073.1. There has been an outbreak of an unclassified plasma plague in the Rocelli system. We're on an emergency run to collect specimens of the deadly plague and transport them to Science Station Tango Sierra, where, hopefully, an antidote can be produced.
Nick, what did you think of The Child?
It was probably the best episode of Star Trek The Next Generation that I've seen so far.
Interesting. I'm not quite going to disagree with you. And I still don't think it was a good episode compared to what comes later. I agree that there were some good things in it once you got past some of the incredibly stupid things. But okay, so give me your full breakdown here.
So, just by the beginning, you can tell that production value went up. They probably have a little more faith in the show, so everything looks better. From, as you told me, Worf's head. Worf's head looks better.
Miles better.
Miles. Galaxies, light years. Wesley's still on the ship. Whatever. Yes. I did notice there are some strange changes.
Okay.
Like, Beverly is not on the ship anymore.
Correct. She's gone.
She's gone. Straight up gone.
Yes.
Didn't think she was a bad character. Don't know why she left, if she returns or what, but they have a new doctor who is not that good, in my opinion, and I think she's very boring. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg. She's there too. And Deanna Troi is wearing something different, and she also gets impregnated by an alien life form of some sort, even though she is the only sole DNA component of the life form that she is now going to bear birth to. This child grows at an extremely rapid rate and is born within pretty much the day and grows up. And Deanna's thing is kind of like, oh, I got this kid now, we're going to try to figure out what's going on here. The crew is trying to transport some delicate materials. And the child has some sort of radiation that is preventing this from going smoothly. So the child just kills itself by its own will. And the entity leaves the child's body and goes on elsewhere. And Wesley also is trying to cope with, should he remain on the Enterprise or should he join another ship or join his mother wherever the hell she may be. That's the episode. But it's better than how I explained it. I actually did really enjoy it.
All right, so let's address each of your points, point by point. You've laid them out very nicely. Number one, Worf's head does no longer look stupid. Boy, oh boy, that makeup is a lot better. Just fits his face a little bit more. And you when I mentioned this last time we recorded, which was yesterday, that you weren't sure how you'd feel about him and Geordi in yellow, but here they are in yellow.
I think I need some time to get used to it.
Yeah, I know, I understand, but eventually, they become you can't see him in anything else. Also joining the cast, though this something you wouldn't notice. We were also introduced to another character. He does not have a name in this episode, but the transporter chief. The guy who initiated the transport between the medical place and the Enterprise.
The guy in blue?
His name? No, not that guy. He's a member of the Enterprise. He has curly hair and was wearing.
Oh, he was in the last season.
He was in one episode of the last season, and he did not have a name then, and he does not have a name now. But he will go on to be Lieutenant Miles O'Brien, and it was fun to see him there. The guy in blue, while you brought him up,
Discount William H. Macy.
See, you called him Discount William H. Macy. You want to know who I thought of him as? And this is less to do with the real person, but based on how he looked and how his voice was, he looked like a real life version of Family Guy's cartoon parody of Ted Turner.
Okay.
Like, I just expected him to go like to be like, like this is what he reminded me of, Family Guy's cartoon Ted Turner, but in real life form, not actually Ted Turner. That's what I thought of when I saw.
See, I just saw Happy Texas, William H. Macy, and and I couldn't get that out of my head. I was like, oh, it's Discount William H. Macy. He's on the Enterprise.
Yeah. Riker has a beard now, and I think it looks a lot better.
Also, Riker starts off fresh by doing his awkward sitting.
I know, right?
Right over the chair.
Over the chair.
I do not understand that. I know you explained it to me, but it's still freaking weird.
It's still weird. Riker has a beard now. Beverly Crusher. Let's talk about the Doctor swap. I believe this was them attempting to go a little bit more. This was a confluence of a couple factors. If I recall it, I was trying to find this correct source, but I couldn't find it. But I believe I read, so anyone wants to comment and correct me, feel free, that one of the producers in season 1 was given a little bit more power this season, and he did not like Gates McFadden personally. He did not get along with her, and he kind of wanted her off the show. And the way he pitched it was less, get this bitch out of here I don't like, and more of, oh, let's try to have someone more like Bones, someone a little bit more irascible, someone who's a little bit, I don't want to say less progressive, but someone who's willing to have that sort of old-timey touch, because Bones was sort of argumentative about, you Vulcans, blah, blah, blah. And so here we have Dr. Pulaski saying, oh, you're just a tool, you're just a robot. She needs, not Beverly, Deanna Troi needs a warm human touch, not a cold touch of technology. So I think that was what happened there, was they wanted someone to be a little more bonesy, as well as the producer did not get along with Gates McFadden.
So she's just gone.
You'll have to see.
It's just so weird.
Yeah, and that's the other complaint about this episode, this is sort of related, was I found that what was going on with Wesley was kind of very slow. He was just sort of meandering around 10 forward, thinking about what to do, kind of dry, but also kind of necessary to justify why Will Wheaton is still on the show, but Gates McFadden is not. So I understand why it had to happen.
But I like that season 1, I feel they would have had a whole episode devoted to that, and you would have had to sit there and wonder why they have to make 50 minutes out of this, interaction when they made it the third subplot of the episode.
Fair point. Especially because Wesley came across very humble this episode. He was not a boy genius. He was looking for advice from his friendly bartender. Speaking of friendly bartender, Whoopi Goldberg's on the show now.
Yeah, that's that's not is she fresh off Color Purple, and they just we'll put her in Star Trek?
Yeah, I think so.
Why was she why would she even agree to that?
Well, because she actually was not huge. I know Color Purple was big, but Whoopi Goldberg wasn't huge. As well as Whoopi Goldberg actually was a very big fan of the original series. My cat just jumped up on my lap and is standing on my shoulder right now.
I hear her.
You got to move, Zoe. She's meowing into the microphone. You know how technology works. Get down. She was a big Star Trek fan and cited Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura, as one of her main acting influences. So this was actually kind of a passion project for her more than anything else.
Well, then it's fine.
Yeah, good for her. So yeah, she's not principal cast. She's not like she's not in every episode. She's just gonna pop up, maybe 5 or 6 times a season. But yeah, she's here now.
That's fun.
So now we've sort of discussed the big changes. Let's discuss the episode. Zoe, stop it! Oh my God, you're a monster. The big thing here is that Deanna Troi is impregnated by an alien. And this is my biggest complaint in the episode, is that this is definitely rape, and just no one cares.
Riker cared.
He cared a little bit, but
freaked out.
that's true. But no one said rape. Everyone was too busy concerning what to actually do with the child, that no one sort of said, Deanna, is this like, how are you doing here? There's no, like, she was typically, I don't want to speak for rape victims because I'm not one, but I feel like normally there should have been sort of a psychological element to this, either a form of trauma or something that she should have to work through.
Well, I'm going to disagree. Let's say you were let's say kidnapped is, I guess is going to kind of prove your point. But let's say you're kidnapped and then you have fertilized eggs placed inside you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you raped?
See, I kind of would consider that rape, and here's why: not because it's just you did not have sex with me, but because you are using my body in a way I did not consent to.
Okay, I love that.
And this alien didn't. This alien's like, I want to see what this person's like. I'm going to be her baby now. And it just went in, used Deanna Troi to be its own tool. And that's what was weird about it to me, was how it was how blasé everyone, including Deanna Troi, was about the issue of consent. And they were more just concerned with the aftermath of actually, what are we going to do with this kid? Are we going to raise it? Worf suggests abortion. Et cetera, et cetera. So that's the weird part about the episode for me that didn't sit right. Everything else about the episode, while a little dry, I will say, I think you mentioned it too, is they had the structure. The structure was a lot smoother, because you knew right off the bat, you were introduced before the theme even started. Here's your problem for the episode, and they'd spend the episode dealing with it in a reasonable amount of time, well structured, and we move on. I believe you mentioned the structure.
Yes, I also like that point where Deanna Troi was in that room where they're all talking about what to do, and then she kind of like got into her own head, and you heard everyone kind of their voice echo.
Yeah,
I like that effect a lot. It really had me into the drama. For me, this episode was put in a way where I actually was like interested in seeing what was happening, and this paced well, and structure. Like just like different cinematic elements that I enjoyed made me really, enjoy it.
Sort of like how TV is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
abolished.
Yeah. The other thing, structure-wise, I would like to hit on is this does what TV should do, which is if you have subplots, your main subplot is this virus thing that's being transported by Ted Turner. The two plots intertwine, and they become related. And that's one of the things I liked about this episode was you have these, I was watching it and I was like, is this just busy work for the rest of the crew? And then it slowly comes together like, oh no, this is how plot A is going to affect plot B. And that was something I really liked about the episode, was that everything that was on screen for the most part mattered and actually came into play in the episode.
It just seemed like a legitimate situation. Like, oh, we gotta really figure this out right now. And it was a plot that I could get into. Like, oh shit, they got this baby, and they're gonna have to learn what the hell to do with her or why it's there. And I was like, I need to know what's happening right now. And there are some episodes in the last season where I was like, I don't give a shit that Yar has to fight someone in a cage match. Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really captivate me. This was captivating.
Yeah. The only other mild complaint I will have is that they have, like you said, they have to solve this problem to save the Enterprise. But did they solve the problem? Or did the problem kind of solve itself?
The problem solved itself.
And that's my only other real complaint is that, the crew didn't really do anything. They sort of figured it out right as the problem solved itself. The alien creature's like, yeah, I gotta go and solve. I'm the one causing your problems. Bye. And the crew was just sort of along for the ride.
And then Data's like, oh, this is where all the radiation's coming from. And everyone's like, oh, okay. Well, it's over now.
Yeah, that's my other complaint is that the crew ultimately didn't save the day. The day saved itself. But that's a little bit less of a mild criticism because you're right. I was so happy that I was watching an episode of television for the first time since we started this fucking podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I thought it was interesting. Data's talking to Deanna before she gives birth to the baby, and he's asking all these questions about oh, can you read the baby? Can the baby read you? And all this stuff. I'm like, is he trying to start an abortion conversation? Saying where does life really begin and consciousness really begin?
I spent the whole time the whole episode, not just that scene. I was wondering, is this, does this / will this fall on the pro-life, pro-choice side of the argument? Will it take a side? I was sort of really looking out for that. But the baby was born and raised so quickly that I feel like any philosophical argument sort of didn't matter. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. I got a little bit of... It wasn't taking a side on abortion, and it wasn't really making a declaration.
He was just trying to wonder.
It was just it was just enough there to get you thinking. Yeah, I agree.
Now, I have a question that I feel like you may know because you know all things cinema in front and behind the scene. The baby's born, and I just have a question just in general. Where do they get these babies? Who's like, I'm going to give birth to a baby and 2 days later I'm going to put it on a TV show? Because that baby looked like any baby that would have been freshly born. It doesn't look like a baby that's been a few months old. So who are these sick fuckers who are leasing their babies out in the studios? Or is that what they do? Do you know?
People who want money.
Straight up, 2 days after birth, they give a baby to the studio?
Basically, yeah.
They have no problem.
Depending, to be fair, for the most part, a lot of times there are not real babies. We only see this baby for 2 shots. You see Pulaski holding it, and then we see Troy holding it. Every other time we see it, it's sort of swaddled and it's covered in blankets. The real baby's not there. The real baby was probably only on set for 2 hours. Its mother legally has to be there, and most of the times it's not a baby. But yeah, it's a real baby that some mother's like, I want my kid to be a star.
Yeah, because we're all going to remember their first screenshot. Do they get a Screen Actors Guild card?
I don't know. I know that. Well, I doubt they're SAG actors who are gonna hardly put this on their IMDb page. I do know, fun fact, that in The Godfather, when they're baptizing Michael Corleone's daughter while all the people are getting murdered, that is Francis Ford Coppola's daughter. The director used his own daughter in that scene. So, fun fact.
Huh.
For all we know, that baby could have been Jonathan Frakes' niece or some shit.
Now, are there any babies that have become famous?
Well, technically, Sofia Coppola did become a director and actress, but we can find out. Famous movie babies. Where are they now?
And I'm talking about fucking babies. I'm not talking about toddlers.
We're not talking toddlers. I agree. Most of them, no, from what I'm seeing. Okay. A lot of them went on to have generally normal lives. Yeah. Most of them had general normal lives. I know even the kid who played Chunk in the Goonies didn't even want to be an actor. He did that one role, and then he went to like college to be like an accountant or a lawyer or something.
Yeah, he's like very successful in his own world.
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with that, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's that. And then finally, so that's the most big part of the episode is this baby. And then the final part of the episode, not that there's a whole lot to discuss here because it was just sort of an excuse to to sort of keep the episode moving. But we did have the engineering portion of the episode where our new chief engineer, Geordie LaForge, is now, he's just sort of designing something to carry some disease to somewhere. And it was just sort of a B plot that was meant to give purpose to the A plot and to keep the A plot to give it a conclusion. I didn't think it was super, super interesting. That was just sort of standard. I mean, it was loading boxes basically with science. So it wasn't crazy entertaining, but it served its purpose and it served it well, I'll say.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about more of the kid. Because I find the kid plot to be kind of the plot that had me interested.
Yeah, that's the main plot of the episode.
Okay, the kid grows up to be 4 in a matter of a day, and he's able to speak. There's no way a being could even do that. That just pissed me off.
Yeah,
I get what they're trying to do. I get that. Oh, it's rapidly growing and everything, but like, no. You probably didn't even hear, in the whole day you were alive, you probably didn't even hear half those words. So fuck off.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was thinking about that. Like, how did the kid just learn to walk? The only mild excuse I can give the show is that technically it wasn't a human child. It was something that had observed us, had been flying through space and had observed us prior to becoming born. So he didn't necessarily have to learn to walk because he sort of knew what it was on a logical level. He just had to imitate it.
And probably speech as well.
Yeah, so we're not dealing with a normal human child. I agree.
But speaking of normal human people, I have a huge problem with Picard and how he grew up. Because he claims that he's never played with puppies.
Okay.
Now, what kind of deprived man of his age has never played with a puppy, especially if they're available on a starship?
Well, Nick, as you know, I am a cat person. So I would go ahead and say I've probably never played with a puppy.
You know that's a lie.
Are you referring to your dog, Irwin?
When he was a puppy?
I didn't really play with him. I held a rope to keep him occupied for a couple minutes while we talked, and then we went out to cafe.
What about my first dog, Drayden? Did you play? You never played with him?
I think Drayden was an adult by the time I met him.
Maybe like 2, if anything.
Yeah, when I'm talking puppy, I'm talking like they showed up in the episode, really like that tiny, fluffy sort of whatever. No, I don't think I've ever played with a puppy.
You've never like? Did we go to a pet store at college, and there were rabbits and stuff? There had been a puppy.
If there was a pet store that had puppies, it probably also had cats, and I probably went straight to the cats.
Jesus.
I don't like dogs.
I have video evidence of you liking dogs, but puppies I don't have any evidence of you playing with, so I'll let you get away with that one.
I've never... I don't believe I've ever played with a puppy. I've probably been in proximity to one, and I may have, like, dangled a rope or whatever, but I've never really, like... I mean, I've never had a dog, and the only dogs that I've ever been around have been owned by friends and family, and your dog, Irwin, I didn't really ever play with him that much.
When he was a baby.
Yeah, because we were at college by that point, so...
Yeah. So, are you human?
Yes.
I
just
know.
don't like dogs. I don't. Why is that shocking that I prefer cats? I've played with kittens all the time.
Yeah. I like
Kittens are
kittens.
great.
I like both. I think they're both just equally as great.
And you're free to believe that. But I'm not going to judge Picard on his not having been around puppies.
I do.
Although, to be fair, let me real quick. I know Captain Janeway had a dog. I just want to double check, make sure that he didn't actually have a dog in later continuity.
Would that be a flawed type of conversation?
Oh, Captain Jonathan Archer obviously had a beagle. We know that. Ooh, let's go here. Is Captain Picard a dog person or a cat person? The internet appears to be that that agrees that he's not a dog person particularly. He has his fish, and he also in one episode he likes horses because he likes to ride horses, much like another captain. But I have nothing supporting Picard. Picard likes dogs.
They caught me off guard.
What?
You caught me off guard.
What with my Shatner likes horses?
That documentary is so weird.
Everyone go watch the documentary that's I forget I don't remember the name of it.
It's like the stars.
It's like Beyond the Stars or Search Beyond the Stars or something. It's a documentary hosted by Shatner.
It's supposed to be a documentary.
It's supposed to be a documentary about space, and they spend the first 20 minutes where Shatner just talks about how much he fucking loves horses.
And then he just talks about himself with famous people.
Yeah, it's
that be celebrities or scientists. He just talks about. He asks them how much they like Star Trek.
He honestly will show up, and he'll go to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and instead of talking like, "Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, what science stuff are you working on?" He goes, "So how did Star Trek affect you?" It's like Shatner.
He's like Ben Stiller, Seth MacFarlane, that one scientist dude. He's famous. The white hair guy. He's in it. And then horses, of course, are mostly the star.
Yeah.
But it's so awkward.
I don't see anything on it on Wikipedia, which is strange. But what I can say is that he does apparently play the voice of Grand Père in My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. So...
This is Shatner or Picard?
Shatner.
And why I say Picard, I mean Patrick Stewart, because I know his name.
I know what you meant.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, but definitely check out that documentary. I can't find it on Wikipedia for whatever reason, but it's on Netflix, and it's terrible. But, boy, season 2 of this podcast is off to a great start.
Hey, we love it. I'm happy.
Yeah. Indeed. So, any other closing points?
Nope. I'm actually excited for the next episode.
Hooray! I knew it would happen eventually. And we're not even up with great episodes yet. We got some good stuff coming up. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Join us next week when we discuss the episode Where Silence Has Lease. And if you've enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff is much appreciated. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.